Um, Thank you for sitting with Ike, man. People are hungry.
Yeah.
Africans are hungry for the type of. We called it a debate. In retrospect, it wasn't a debate. It was a discussion. People are very hungry for those type of debates. And look, obviously, people pick sides. South Africans were favoring Ike. People attacked me. They said you're giving your boy Rutendo too much time. Our Rutendo is being unnecessary. We don't want to hear about history, Babwans. But I just want to say thank you. And you and Ike, thank you so much. We need to sit again, and maybe I'm going to use this opportunity to challenge Malawians, Mozambicans, those specific, and then Nigerians and Ghanaian, and maybe Congolese, to please reach out to me so that we can have these conversations. Don't hide in the shadows. I met an amazing Nigerian man in Houghton, and he was telling me some of the issues he has with Nigerians and how they make some of them look bad when they... I'm like, we need to sit and have these conversations because everyone catches heat when we don't speak out. Rutendo spoken out, and what happens with leadership is you're asking to be attacked. You're like, I've put my hand up. When I ask other Zimbabweans, come speak, they're hey.
They're scared.
No, you're like, okay, you're going to attack Rutendo, but you're clearly not willing to speak, and you say he's wrong. Who must speak? Because I'm not going to do it. I'm not a Zimbabwean. I'm not going to go and say Rutendo's lying. I was in Zim, and you must come and say Rutendo's lying and explain why. And I'm going to ask you in that sit down, are you like Rutendo? Are you looking for what's best for the Zimbabwean people? Because maybe you've just been a sucker of propaganda. 100%. And I disagree with Rutendo a lot on many things. I think he's naive about a lot of things. I think some of the things he says sound like funded propaganda. That's my opinion. But we need to have the platform to chat. Come and speak as a Nigerian, as a Congolese, etc. So thank you for that sit down. And I hope more and more people will check it out. And we need to have more of them, importantly. I went to visit Russia. I was at St. Petersburg for the Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum. I went to visit China. I was going to go see my kids, but it's always nice being in China because of the type of people we are. Wherever we are always paying attention and asking questions and
learning.
West African coups, Gabon, Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting anyone there. So I don't know if it's called the Wagner group from Russia. And now we're speaking about Zim, Nangagwa getting a nice...
elections.
You know.
And
you're speaking about SADC countries and maybe other African countries that are currently arming themselves. While ordinary South Africans, black in particular, are not even thinking of getting a knife. What do you think, I don't know if you've studied, what do you think has led to the coups in West Africa from your perspective? And do you believe that Russia is helping arm African nations to defend themselves, maybe for sovereignty? Russia's probably doing it for their own agendas. We've got a half gap now to take over from America. And if Russia comes in, because I don't know if China funds military, but Russia looks like they're comfortable to be like, we'll give you whatever you need. And we've got a mate, China, so we'll give you the guns. And then you guys need a little bit of money. We've got a nice Chinese mate. That side, he can borrow you some money because clearly the West are sleeping. They force their military. You can have your military. We are just going to give you the guns. And then these guys will give you the money. And not only the money, they will actually even come and build the entire thing for you. The harbor or the airport or the whatever infrastructure. What do you think has led to the Western coups? And what are your thoughts around Russia, China, BRICS, and their plan and vision and their work on the African continent?
You asked some tricky questions there. The perception that has been created is that the coups in West Africa right now are being engineered by the Russians to remove puppets of the West. That is the information we're being given.
Correct.
But do we have enough information to make a decision on that? I don't think so. And I bring this issue to you right now because there was an Ipsos report that just came out recently on misperceptions. And they said that the country with the worst misperception in the world is South Africa. And misperception is basically delusion. So South Africans are the most delusional people who don't know the difference between facts and fiction. Because whenever they were asked questions, murder in Africa, murder in South Africa, immigration, crime, they always gave an answer closer to fiction more than the fact. And this is the thing that I'm also seeing our perceptions being molded around what's happening in West Africa is because of the media that is around us that's feeding us information. So South Africans have got a perception issue because they've got a media that is lies, a media that gives false information, a media that is so biased and doesn't give South Africans balance that they cannot know the truth. That is a danger. And we are all in South Africa right now being told how to perceive what's happening in West Africa based from the lenses of Western media, South African media, and social media influenced by these medias. So I don't really know. But the narrative that is being given is that the Russians, the Chinese are the ones that are funding these guys. But I find it difficult to believe because look at all these French colonies. The guys that turn up and upset their governments, they are French legionnaires. And a lot of them are also trained by the Americans in the current time on how it is that they're supposed to learn to fight. It becomes very difficult to believe that that just could be the Russian influence when these soldiers were trained by the Americans. In Niger, they were trained by the Americans.
Niger is another. Do you think there's a chance that sleight of hand and misdirection, I don't know if I'd accused America, but maybe someone is upset or France upset someone. And they're like, we want to punish France and maybe gain power, but we're going to make it seem as if it's certain people. But it's because maybe there's something that France is doing that we don't like.
Now you're bringing up the issues. That it could actually be the Americans behind the scenes trying to topple France's control of its former colonies. That's a possibility. And then it's blamed on the Russians, yet the Americans are behind it all the time, which is why you saw the head of AFRICOM, the one who came to Zambia to give speeches about the helicopters. He was brought in front of Congress and he was being asked, how many countries that you are training the soldiers have coups happened? They were the ones that were behind the coup in Guinea. They were the ones that were behind the
Guinea as well.
Yes, the coup in Mali. You understand the coup in so the American hand is there.
Sorry, what is a coup for a person that doesn't know? And are the coups only happening with French colonies? Just for people to have clarity.
Yes, most of them are happening with French colonies, and it's not a new phenomenon.
What is a coup? Coup d'etat.
It's the removal of a democratically elected leader, and I put it in quotation marks but it's basically the removal of somebody who was elected by the ballot, and then they're being removed by their military.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I organized a group of guys to take over the ANC government in whatever way, that's not a coup. It has to be the army. It has to be our army that does it, or it has to be some type of army.
If you remove a government by an army,
okay,
if you remove it by force, if you remove it by protests, and if you remove it even through a democratic process, through parliament, all those have been referred to as coups.
Okay.
Anytime you usurp power without utilizing the ballot, it's considered as a coup.
And a lot of these countries that are currently dealing with this are countries that are rich in minerals, in particular uranium. And most people are not aware that the bulk of French power, spoke about the DRC and the Inga Dam. In France, the bulk of their power is nuclear energy,
yes,
which is a very controversial topic in South Africa. And if France is not getting its uranium from its former colonies, which last I checked still pay tax to France, then France doesn't have power. And now we speak again about economic sabotage and of which we don't know if it's sabotage. It might just be France, like the West, because I'd like to think, I don't know if we'll get to speak about Reddy and Chris. I listened to them, or I listened to Reddy, and I maybe it's because I'm a clever black, I agreed with 80% of what she was saying. There's a huge arrogance from an American perspective. Maybe France also got too comfortable, got too arrogant. And a Julius Malema and the EFF and people are like, but we want land. We want this. The guys are not coming to renegotiate. It's like, we've got our guys there. It's chilled. It's like, okay, since you guys don't want to listen to us and you're arrogant, we'll show you.
Yeah.
And until France humbles itself and says, sorry, we know there's military coups. We'd like to sit. Clearly, you guys are upset. And as long as they're arrogant, things won't change.